Hello friends. So in this video I will talk about very interesting topic which is animations in Angular and how much it is important and how you can use this in your project. So before moving forward, just subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed it yet. So yeah, let's start like how you can implement the animations in your project. So let's start. So before learning that, there are few other things also, like how you can handle like what are keyframes in Angular, keyframes in animation, and how you can handle like different keyframes, how you can create the animation triggers. So yeah, all these things we will go through in this video so that you will get more clarity and you can easily implement it in your application. So what are keyframes? Keyframes are basically lets you create animations by gradually changing CSS styles from one state to another. So what this animation means, let me show you that also. Let me run the project. So how you can create those animations. So let's run the project. So if you see here, so these are different kind of animations that we can implement in our application, Angular application easily. So if you see here, so these are the animations that I'm talking about. So how you can implement our child, remove parents, all these things. So let's see how you can build all these things in a with the keyframes in the with the new feature of Angular, and there are what utilities you can use to implement those animations. So in Angular, you can define and use keyframes in a component styles using the Angular style encapsulation mechanism. And so with the if you want to create a keyframe, then you just need to use the keyframe. And if I show you in my project code also. So if you see here, we define the keyframes like that. You just need to add the whatever the element you are creating and what how it transforms. So it means you must have good CSS knowledge also if you want to create animations. So this is some kind of prerequisite you can say. So you if you have the good CSS knowledge, then you can easily create the smooth transitions, smooth styles and animations. So what are the steps we need to do create an animation? So to create an animation trigger, name my animation, you can use this trigger in your. So firstly you need to create a trigger. So let me document this also so that you can get the clarity. So first means you need to create an animation trigger for it if you want to create animation. And this is specify the animation for when an element enters the DOM, the enter state. So there are different inbuilt, pre-built things like enter, leave. These are different things that you need to mention if you want to create an animation, and what are the duration of that animation. So all these things you need to mention. Let me add this also so that you can understand it better. So these are the things that you need to mention in your animation, enter, leave, and you just need to define all those things. Okay. So now next is how you can implement that. So here, if you see here how we implement, so this is a trigger that we created, and what transition we are adding. So we are adding enter transition, and on this, like on entering that transition, what we need to do, we need to make opacity 0, and we need to animate it like that. So this is the way we can implement the animation. We can trigger the animation, and how you can implement use that in your project. So let me show you that also. So if you see here, you can add there also so that. So after that, what you need to do means you can use that animation ready to use in template. So I told you, I showed you syntax also. So this is the way you can use this animation if you want to use. So this is the basic example of animation how we can create it. But there are other things also, like if you're working on a very complex project and if you want to reuse the animation also. So what ways you can use, how you can create the keyframes. So if you want to use the keyframes, what you need to do, you need to create. So if you see here, we just created with the at thread keyframes bounce. So we are creating a bounce keyframe, and how you can use this bounce keyframe in an animation. So if you see here, this is CS Cloud animation. So yeah, you can use that. So let me mention this thing also. This is all about animation triggering, and next thing is the keyframes. So for keyframes, what you need, and with the keyframes, you need to define a name, define it, and use it with css animation property. So yeah, you can use that. So how you can use that in your animation, so let's see that. So if you, so like if you want to reuse any, you can use this utility. So means there are another thing which is use animation. So with the use animation, you can reuse that. So let's see that now. Use animation. So if you see here, we can create an animation, and we can, so if you see here, I define an animation, killer animation. So with this color animation, we just define the style with what things we need to animate. So yeah, means here we define that. And coming to the parameters, so here if you see, we define the parameters, start color, end color, and all. So we can use that animation also. And this is the trigger that we created. This is enterly that I already told you what should happen in that case. And if you are using, so this is about keyframes. So now another thing that we have, so these are means, if you know, you must know all these things if you want to properly add transition on any element. So yeah, you can use that. So now next thing is for use animation, what you need for use animation, what you need to do, you need to make it like what, so you need to pass the params under it. If you need, I mean, these are, this is optional. So like if you need that, you can pass the params, and you can reuse that. And also there is note I added also. In Angular, the leave transition is triggered when an element is being removed from DOM. The transition allow you to define how the element should animate out before it actually removed. And so means with the leave transaction, so this is the thing they need to keep in mind. Like if the parent element of the target element is removed from the DOM directly, the Angular does not have a chance to trigger the leave transition on the child, since the child is removed alongside the parent. So this is the example that I shown you. So here it signifies, so this is parent child relation, how it works. So yeah, you can handle toggle child element, and you can remove that. And if you remove this parent element, so it will remove, so the leave transition will not work here in this case. If you want the child to animate, but before the parent is removed, you can control the visibility. So it's all about visibility and entering, and like showing leave and leaving the transition, how it works. So let's learn like how we can define the reusable color animation. So here if you see, we just define a animation, color animation, and whatever the properties that we need, what things we need to achieve, so we define those things here. And with the toggle color animation, what we are doing, we are just toggling it, this, like, so if I show you this toggle code, so in the toggle code, what we are doing, we are hiding and showing the show element. And where the show element is on that, there this element changes color. So we added this also, and we ordered as added the animation color. So this is the transition that we created. And this you see here, we define this trigger. So in the template, what we use the triggers. So this trigger is basically you use in that template. And on this animation, we need to define it. Let, uh, so this we are using here, and this keyframes is using in the encapsulation mechanism. So here you can use this animate color in your template. So if you see, we use in template also. So here we toggling this animate color, and with the ngif it is showing and hiding that element. So this is a big example to use that, reuse that color combination. And so here we define start color, end color, and duration. So all these things that you can use. And another example that we have discussed is the parent child. So how you can handle that parent child. So let's see. So here we define the trigger. First is fade in out and enter and leave state. What should happen on these states? So yeah, we define these things. And firstly see the template. So in the template what we have done, so this is the parent element. So within the parent we added show parent element, and in the parent we are using fade in out, and we are using fade in out. So show parent, show child. So in this, in the toggle child, in the remove parent, what we are doing, in the remove parent we are not showing the parent element, and the toggle child we are just hiding showing the show child element. So let me show you this element also. Parent child. So here what we are doing, so see here, so this, so parent is, this is a parent element, this is child element, so this is under that. So it is under this parent, this child is under this parent. So how this animation works here, so toggle child. So if you toggle child, so means it, this thing is basically like hiding showing. And if you're removing this parent, so this parent is getting removed, and this fade in out, this animation will not work. So here I mentioned also the fade in out trigger define animation for entering and leaving. Fades in when it appears and fades when it leaves. When you click the toggle child element, well, the but child will fade out first. If you click remove parent element, the parent will disappear immediately. So yeah, means these things you need to keep in mind while defining the animations. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. If you have any doubt, anything, just subscribe the channel. Just ping me on my channel on my Instagram. So yeah, thanks guys for watching.